Welcome to the Knowledge Series, Unit 1, also known as Unit 201, because the Knowledge Series is our second series, and this is the first unit in it. Today we're going to be starting off with our first two subjects, math and culture. So for math, we're going to be starting with addition and subtraction of small numbers. One thing that you'll want to note is if you're working with older students who have more experience, they can go ahead and test out this program, since all of our programs are mastery based. So they can test out of this all together, and there'll be more instructions below this on the page on how to do that. Or they can just work through all the lessons at a much faster pace. So instead of doing one lesson per day, they can do 2, 4, 5, whatever feels good to them. If they're not super strong in math, it could be a really great review. If they're way past this, then take the test, move on. All right, so Math Unit 201, we're going to do a lot with our number line. So I keep mine in a folder like this, just a little envelope. You can put them in a Ziploc bag, whatever you like to do. And when you print them out with the teacher's manual, the first thing you'll have is the blue strips. And if you can see, mine are actually two different strips, just like yours will be. I printed them on cardstock and tape them together in the middle, and then I have tape at both ends right here. So I take this and I tape it down to the desk right in front of the keyboard, or if we're working on flashcards, then I tape it to the kitchen table and use it over there. All right, so this is the number line. This actually comes from the Montessori method. We just have the cheap and easy version of it here on paper. You can get a wooden set of these also. They're probably about 50 bucks. So you can print ours for free if you have some cardstock. All right, so here's what you need. You need these, and then also in the notebook, I'll just show you the notebook real fast. This is the teacher's manual, and it'll come on this page like this. You'll want to print these on cardstock too. You don't have to, you can print them on regular paper, but they'll last a little bit longer. Print those on cardstock too and cut them all up. You'll have a big handful of different length number strips like this. So you'll have the small ones all the way down to number 1. You'll have longer ones like 5 and super long ones like 9. The reason I'm showing you these is because I have had a couple of parents print out that page and then cut out every single square. Don't do that. Okay, so we want the one that has 9 squares on it attached together to be 1 through 9 and so forth. Okay, so when you lay these down on the table, we're going to use these to do all of our addition. Here's the thing with math. The hard part for kids is that you're taking a very concrete subject and you're making it very abstract. So we're taking something that's physical, like you have 2 cookies, I have 1 cookie, that's not fair. And we're changing it to something that's more abstract, like the symbols for 2 and the do not equal sign and 1. Okay, so what we need to do with math is we need to start with something that's very concrete, that they can touch and feel, and then we're going to let them use shortcuts. Okay, so the best thing about math is to be good at math, you want to use shortcuts. People that are good at math use shortcuts all the time, and so this is your kids' perfect chance to be good at them. Okay, so at the beginning, you're going to lay your number strips down on your table. This one will be taped down, and then it's going to ask a question like, what is 9 plus 1? So you're going to take your 9 and put it right down here at the end. I'm going to hold this. I don't usually do this in the air. And then you're going to take your 1 and put it right after it, not upside down. And you'll find out that 9 plus 1 equals 10. So if you're working with younger students, you'll want to do this with them a few times at the beginning so they can get the idea that the number that it ends up with at the end is the answer, okay? And the idea here is to get the right answer all of the time. Now what's going to happen is at the beginning, your child will probably use all the number strips all the time. So it will ask them something that they don't know off the top of their head, like what is 6 plus 8? So they'll get the 6 and the 8, they'll lay them down, and they'll find out that it's 14, okay? But pretty quickly, your child will start to realize, oh, well, there's some that are easier. Like if I have 9 plus 1, I don't really have to get this one. Like once I put the 9 in there, I can just sort of visualize that there's one more square and I can tell it's the next number. Okay, and so that's great. Do not discourage your child, okay, from that shortcut. Do not say, oh, you have to get both number strips and lay them both down. No, in fact, you won't even have to tell them that there's a shortcut. It just comes naturally, probably, most kids. They just start picking up the shortcuts naturally because humans are lazy. and that's great in this case, okay? So 9 plus 1, they're going to quickly start to notice, oh, I don't really need both of them, okay? And then they'll start to use that trick more and more. They'll just get one of the number strips, like let's say that it says like 6 plus 3, and they'll just get the 6, and they'll be like, okay, I can use 3 fingers to figure out how much farther it is. And so they'll hold that up with the 6, and then they'll just use their fingers for 7, 8, 9, and they'll get an answer, okay? And eventually, they'll realize, I don't even need that one. I know it starts with 6, 7, 8, 9, and they'll do it with just their fingers. And eventually, they don't need this either, okay? So that's our goal. We want to go from the most tedious but 100% correct way possible to a much faster way that's more abstract, just using the mind, okay? So start off with using the number strips. If your kid only uses them for one day, that's fine. It's still worth cutting them out if it gets them over the hump, okay? And if they use them for a really long time, but still always get the right answers, that's great too. That's what they're for, okay? So you're gonna be using the number strips for 2 different things. First of all, the computer lesson. That's your first 80 minutes. And again, 1 lesson or 5 lessons, I don't care. It depends on your kid. And then the hands-on lesson, okay? So the hands-on lesson is gonna have a couple of different components to it. Again, here's our handy dandy teacher's manual, which I printed out all of the subjects here for this whole term all together. You might not be doing that. You might just be doing a few. So we have some worksheets for your students to do. Sorry if you can't see this very well. Worksheets for your students to do. There are some flashcards for you to do with them with the number strips that will help you to find any confusion or misunderstanding. And then we have, besides the worksheets and the flashcards, we have the math game called Mrs. Fisher's Math Game because I am Mrs. Fisher and I wrote it. Therefore, I named it after myself, obviously. Okay, so with Mrs. Fisher's Math Game, you're going to go on to the Scratch website. It's a great website that your student will actually be using later on in technology to learn how to program a computer using a programming language that's really kid-friendly. You don't have to be able to spell to use it, unlike an adult language like C or any of the versions of BASIC or Python or something like that, where you're going to have spelling and syntax mistakes that can make it really complicated. This is a drag and drop programming language, and so the kids will be able to use it right away. In fact, if you don't like the technology lessons for this unit, you can start using it right away. We'll show you how to do that in one of the next few videos here. So by playing a game using Scratch, they'll start to see what it can do, and then they'll get to do it themselves pretty soon. So that'll be more exciting to be able to make a game than to just use one. So here's what you do to go to Scratch. Hang on, let me pause this just for a second and get this going. All right, so here's the Scratch website. You just type in scratch.mit.edu or click on the link below. And in the search box, you'll type in Mrs. Fisher's Math Game. Make sure you type Fischer the German way, F-I-S-C-H-E-R. And we're going to search. You want this one right here that says OnSchooler, not somebody else's project. And this is the project right here. So you'll start up the game by clicking the green flag. You can also make it bigger, but let's look at the instructions first. We'll start with addition level 1. Later on, we'll also do subtraction level 1. And then in the next unit, we'll do multiplication and division level 1. Eventually, we'll go up to level 2 and so forth as we work our way through these 4 math units. All right, so it says to choose an operation. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger now. We're going to start with A for addition. Press enter. And then our difficulty level today will just be level 1. All right, so what is 8 plus 4? I'm going to go ahead and grab my number strips. I'm going to grab the 8. I'm going to grab the 4. And you'll probably want to have your student lay these out on the desk so they're easy to find and not just a little pile like mine. The 8 and the 4. Put them by your number line. Find out the answer is 12 and type that in. Okay. So the shark looks fierce all the time if it's happy because sharks are fierce. Also, if you get the right answer, then a little crab runs across the screen. Okay, so next you want to grab the 6 and the 4. And grab those, put them by your number line, find out the answer is 10, type that in. It will not go fast at the beginning. That's just a reality of life. That's fine. All right, you've got another crab running across the screen. What is 10 plus 1? Let's say we get this wrong. Let's say we think it's still just 10, or it's a typo, whatever. Oh, look, this shark looks so sad. All right, now we'll keep looking sad until we find the new right answer. So we're going to grab the 8, We're going to grab the 7. After a while, I've got too many 8s in my pile. I'm going to grab the 8. Here's one. I'm going to grab the 7. Put those together by your number line, and it turns out the answer is 15. All right, so you type that in, and this is going to give you 10 problems all together. Just keep going through them all. Oh, look, our shark looks nice and fierce again. We want it to look fierce. 9, 12, and 12 again. Okay, at the end, it'll give you your score. We got 9 out of 10 right in 91 seconds. That's pretty good. A lot of students at the beginning, it'll take them 200 to 300 seconds to answer the question for younger beginning students with their math. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. And especially with the number lines, they're kind of getting used to how to use them. And so you go through those, you answer all the questions, and at the end you get your score. Now, I talked earlier about being able to test out of this unit. To test out of the unit, you need to be able to pass addition level 1 and subtraction level 1 with a score of 10 out of 10 in 20 seconds or less the first time. Okay, so you can't give your kid like 3 tries to do it. If they want to test out, you test out right away. Okay, so the question is that possible? Yes, it is. Here we want to repeat the same level. Yes. If you just know all the answers and you just type them in quickly, it doesn't take that long. Okay, so this is the speed that we want to get your child up to, and they're going to do this every day until it's good and easy. Okay, 12 seconds, no big deal. Now, again, in your teacher's manual, there is a place to write down these scores. So you'll grab your teacher's manual, make sure you print out a couple of different copies of this particular page. It's the MathGame score sheet, and it looks like this. Okay. So you have a spot to put 10 different scores. Every day, do the MathGame 10 times. And your focus always, always, always is not speed. Your focus is accuracy, okay? So that's a big part of mastery-based learning, which our program requires. So your point is to get all 10 right. The speed will come naturally. Don't worry about the speed, okay? So if your child is over 200 seconds at the beginning, but you focus on getting them all right, they'll start learning those shortcuts like we talked about earlier, and the speed will come along. You'll get down to 180 seconds, 150, 100, and so on. It will come totally naturally. Now you can change the test requirements if you want to, because you're the teacher. And so for example, if you have a student that has some sort of physical impairment where they just can't type in the numbers very quickly, you have lots of different modification options. You can change the time requirement. You can have somebody type them in, like if the student says the answer out loud, somebody else can type them in. You can do whatever modification you need to work for you, okay? So that's math. Next lesson will be culture 201.01.